So unless you've been living under a rock, you should know Gukesh recently won the Candidates Tournament, which for those new here basically means that he'll get to go face to face with the current world champ Dingler Ren for the infamous World Chess Champion title. Now the thing is, Gukesh is only a kid, he's literally 17, even though he looks older than me in most pictures. But still, winning the most important tournament at that age is honestly outrageous. Like, he's the youngest ever to do so, but in my opinion, he has a very good chance to become the next Magnus Carlsen. So I figured we'd take a trip down his past and look at one of his games from 2019. Gukesh was only 12 here, but don't be fooled cause, well, he was already a Grandmaster here. But yeah, let's just get into the game and see what happened here. Gukesh had the white pieces and he started the game with knight f3. Black replies with knight f6, you have g3, d5, bishop to d2, e6, and Gukesh here castles, and as you can see, he's literally just playing like a turtle. He literally only focused on developing his pieces, he castled, and he didn't get any presence in the center with his pawns. And yeah, he's just looking basically to see what Black is up to before committing to the center. Now Black here plays bishop to e7, also prepares castles, and here Gukesh finally plays d3 and starts constructing his plan of regaining the center. Black here castles, we have knight b to d2, just preparing e4, we have c5, e4, knight c6, rook e1, and as you can see so far pretty natural moves, literally just developing the pieces, gaining some space in the center, not a lot happening here. Now Black here plays b5, and as you can see also, this is literally one of the main lines of the King's Indian attack. Like you've seen, White starts by playing like a turtle in the beginning, which kind of gives some spatial advantage for Black, but will then try to expose Black's weaknesses further down the road. Now Gukesh here continues with the main move, he plays e5, hits the knight has to go back, also pressures this pawn, we have knight to d7, and now that the knight has done its job of supporting this e4 push, we simply have knight f1, which conveniently opens this bishop to be developed. Now Black here plays queen to c7, develops the queen, also now is really threatening to take this pawn, so this move really won't come as much of a surprise. Gukesh wants to develop this bishop, he wants to defend his pawn, so simple bishop f4 is played. Now Black here plays bishop b7, just developing his last minor piece, and as you expect by the name of this opening, King's Indian attack, you kind of expect a kingside attack, so there goes Gukesh, boom, he plays h4 and yeah, basically just wants to throw the h pawn down the board and try to create some weaknesses on the king's camp. So here Black plays rook to c8, and while White is going to try to get some action here on the king side, Black is going to try to use all of the space he has here on the queen side and maybe try to create a passed pawn or gain some other type of advantage. So Gukesh uses this moment to, you know, just push the h pawn and whatever happens, happens. But Black, instead of continuing with his queenside plan, just takes a moment, plays h6 and realizes, okay, maybe this pawn would lead to some very dangerous stuff, so yeah, let's play prophylactically. Now after h6 obviously the pawn can't move, so I'm just gonna stop your pawn and now my pawns are coming, so what are you gonna do? But Gukesh, being a 12-year-old, doesn't mean that he's naive, so here he plays knight e3. The knight really wasn't doing anything on f1, but the problem is Black can't really continue with his plan yet, because if he plays something like a5, this would be a proof that you can't really sleep on the 12-year-olds, because here knight takes on d5 hits, and this will just turn into a complete mess, because after pawn takes, e6, and all of a sudden the knight is attacked, your queen is attacked, so even though this isn't winning for White, all of Black's pieces are stuck here on the queen side, so it will be pretty easy for Gukesh to create an attack. So in the game, instead of a5, here Black realizes this and just takes the queen off this diagonal. We simply have queen to d8. Now Gukesh here finally does something about the queen side, he plays c4, otherwise he's just gonna get steamrolled here. So c4 striking in the queen side, and now after a trade we have d4, and Black sort of consolidates his space advantage here in the center. Now the knight obviously has to move. Gukesh plays knight to g4, just looking to create something here on the queen side. We have bishop to f8 by Black, which, okay, Stockfish gives us an inaccuracy, but I think this makes a lot of sense. It's just trying to cover the king, also freeing this square for the knight to rotate, so I guess it makes a lot of sense. Now Gukesh does the same thing, he plays knight e2, aiming to rotate the knight, also opening this bishop, so if the knight moves, the bishop here would be dead. So to prevent this, first we have rook c to b8, defending this bishop. You have knight to e4 by Gukesh. You have knight to d7, rotating the knight, like I said. And now we have a very interesting move by Gukesh. We have b4, basically just undermining this pawn. Another very interesting alternative would be to go for this knight e6. I mean, putting a knight like this on the 6th rank, defended by a pawn, hitting this bishop, looks very tempting, but after bishop takes and you retake with the king, this pawn here is falling, and even though Gukesh might have a weird attack here, maybe sacrificing the knight, he still wasn't satisfied with this, so in the game he decided to go with b4. Now, I think the most productive move here for black would be something like knight f5, just opening the bishop, defending the pawn here. Also, this knight here on f5 is just a beast. But in the game, black didn't resist the temptation and it took this pawn here. And now this will lead to some very bad stuff, as in the game we had queen takes on d4, white regains all the center, but the point of black is he was arguing, okay, this doesn't make any sense. Now I play knight f5, I hit your queen, I defend the pawn here, I'm gonna play a5, a4, and my position is just gonna be better. I'm just gonna make a pass pawn here on the queen side. But the point is that 12-year-olds like Gukesh are not to be messed around. So in this position, Gukesh can just gain a game-winning advantage, believe it or not. And yeah, chess is a game of details, and turns out reversing the order doesn't work for black. So if you want, pause the video and try to find the brilliant combination that wins here for Gukesh. And yeah, or not, or just admit that the 12-year-old is better than you. But okay, the reason why knight f5 really wasn't that good is that the 12-year-olds don't miss any tactics. In this position, Gukesh sacrifices the queen, because the point is the queen kind of has to take, otherwise black will just be down a piece. But now the queen and the king are just unfortunately placed so that a fork is coming. Basically, Gukesh gives up a knight so that the other one comes in and sweeps out the queen. But the point of all of this isn't over. The point is, now in this final position, okay, Gukesh is up a pawn, but that's not the point. The thing is, this rook is under attack and this bishop is under attack. So if the rook moves anywhere, you can just take the bishop. Even if you play something like rook here, hitting the knight, this bishop takes bishop will come with an attack on the other rook. So black is forced to lose even more material. In the game, he tries exchanging the bishops. We have knight takes rook. He tries hanging on to the bishop pair, but now the knight simply comes back. He threatens to make even more trades, which black declines. But now, basically, white will just be up an exchange, and yeah, Gukesh will have just a way simpler game. Here he tries bishop e3, just defending c5. Maybe he'll push c5, c6 eventually, or maybe just return with the horse. Also, knight takes isn't really decent, because after rook takes, this comes with an attack on the bishop, and even if the bishop takes the pawn, I don't know, after c5 you just bring your rook and this pawn is just gonna be unstoppable. So in the game we saw rook c8, trying to put some pressure here, but simply rook c1, defending the pawn. We have a trade here, because okay, I was saying the trade was bad, because now it's different. After rook c1, you no longer can pick up the knight with the rook, because yeah, now the bishop would just skewer your rooks, so Gukesh has to take with the pawn, okay, kind of weakening his position a little bit. We have bishop to c6, hitting the knight, and it almost looks like the knight is trapped, but he can give up itself on f6. So black exchanges some pieces in order to win at least a pawn. So let's see if he can create some counterplay. Here maybe bishop f3 is coming to win this pawn, so Gukesh simply plays king f2, just keeping the glue on everything. We have rook to g8, now rook to d1 by Gukesh. We have rook to g5, and it looks like, okay, black is going to win this pawn, and there's no way to defend the pawn, right? The bishop here covers. There's no way to defend from up here. So maybe black is actually going to get some counterplay. Or not, because now rook d6, and where the hell is this bishop going? If the bishop goes, I don't know, to a8, to b7, all of a sudden this pawn is just going to run the easiest marathon of its life. So in this position, black is kind of forced to play rook c5, blockading the pawn, defending the bishop. But now Gukesh is free to do whatever he wants. He just has all the time in the world. Black is completely tied down. He plays g4, just protects this pawn, and he's just gonna improve his position. Black tries a5, but now the game is just completely over. He's just trying to create some desperate counterplay here, but not gonna happen. The 12-year-old is just too strong. Here he plays rook d8, trying to infiltrate back here. Black tries bishop d5, which is actually pretty interesting. Of course, the pawn is pinned, we can't take, and he's trying to win this pawn. But here Gukesh plays the very precise rook to d8, and yeah, it's completely over. If black tries to be greedy and I don't know, takes this pawn, you can just take, and after g5 you can see that this is completely over. After the pawn is taken, now there's a red carpet for this guy, so, and the rook conveniently blocks out the king, so there would be nothing for black to do here. So in the game he realizes this and he tries to go for bishop e4, at least gaining some control on this diagonal. Actually, if g5 we can just take now because the rook is open, so maybe it's still not over. So okay, Gukesh tries playing king e2 so that rook f1 comes with a check, and maybe you can stack here, but black sees this and he plays king e7. So the players now repeat a little bit, maybe some time control issues, and Gukesh tries going the other way. He plays king d2 and black falls for the trick. Here he plays king back to f6, but now things are different, because when the king was on f2 there was no rook f1 check because the king blocks, but now there is. So g5 hits, and this is the final blow, because yeah, basically if the pawn is taken, which happens in the game, you can finally push the pawn and there's really nothing to do. Here black tries bishop to h7, just trying to blockade the pawn, but it doesn't matter because after rook f1 black played king to e7, and after rook e7 it just resigned the game because there's just way too many threats. The bishop is hanging and f7 is hanging. For example, bishop to g6 would have to be played, but after h7 there's literally no way to stop this pawn. You can obviously just take, and okay, you end up a rook down, which is not really a fun position to be in, especially against a 12-year-old grandmaster. Or you can try to play rook c8, but simply rook g8, and yeah, there's no saving the black position here. But yeah, it was after rook to g7 that black had enough, and yeah, just bowed down to the 12-year-old. And as you can see, yeah, just another 12-year-old grandmaster farming brilliant moves like it's nothing. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this quite interesting game by maybe the future of chess, Gukesh, the future of chess. See, it rhymes. And yeah, if you did, please consider dropping a like and subscribing. It kind of helps. And see you on the next one.